the New York Yankees, who would have thought early in this trade deadline, which was this week, a Monday, they were going to make a significant move, and they were the talk of the trade deadline before Friday came around, when a lot of teams wheeled and dealed, a.k.a. the Blue Jays, the Mets added Javier Baez, and the Cubs just traded away all their pieces, all those championship pieces. Just think about it. Their three best players, their nucleus of players that they built their championship around, Javier Baez, Rizzo, and Kris Bryant, all gone. All went to separate teams. Both Baez and Rizzo went to separate New York teams. Baez went to the Mets. Rizzo went to the Yankees, and Bryant, where did Bryant go, by the way? San Francisco, I'm sorry, which San Francisco is a hot team. They're the best team in baseball right now. It's crazy to say that, but they're playing great baseball, great pitching, great bullpen, and timely hitting, which is so very important.
Brian Snow's World Series pick.
Absolutely. I couldn't believe that, by the way.
Yeah.
It really is. That was definitely a shot in the dark, but nevertheless, the Yankees added Anthony Rizzo on Thursday. It was a shock. Nobody thought Anthony Rizzo was going to be a Yankee. A lot of people thought he was heading to the Boston Red Sox. And then Boston, after losing out on Rizzo, who did they go after? They went after Kyle Schwarber. And with Kyle Schwarber, is he Anthony Rizzo? No. Kyle Schwarber is a great DH. He's hit for power. I think he was an all-star this year.
Yeah.
He played.
He was hurt. I think he had to replace him because he got hurt. But, yeah, he was voted with that hot streak he had.
Yes. And to me, Anthony Rizzo is not Kyle Schwarber. But they took Kyle Schwarber after losing out on Anthony Rizzo. The Yankees, again, I would say screwed the Red Sox and kind of snuck up right under them and stole Anthony Rizzo, just like they did to Mark Teixeira and just like they did to Alex Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. So the Yankees, I believe, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Yankee fan and nobody has to agree with me, I think the Yankees won this trade deadline. You got two All-Stars in Joey Gallo. You needed to add left-handed power to that lineup that lacked it very, very much. Really, it's lacked it since Mark Teixeira, since those teams. I mean, the Yankees haven't had left-handed power for a while, and I don't know what Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner and the Yankees organization was doing, but they needed to add that left-handed power, and it paid dividends yesterday in Anthony Rizzo's 449-foot home run,
in Marlins Park, no less.
Shocked everybody with the power that he smacked that ball. It was probably one of the furthest home runs we've seen in Marlins Park since Giancarlo Stanton.
I was going to say, Giancarlo Stanton probably has a couple of those. But
yeah, it's been a long time, but Anthony Rizzo was a huge pickup for the New York Yankees, not only offensively, defensively. He's a Gold Glove winner. He's one of the best defensive first basemen in baseball. That's something that the Yankees desperately needed. Luke Voigt's not a good defensive player. We all know that. He's a good offensive player. Anthony Rizzo's better. And even though Anthony Rizzo is 32 years old, I think Anthony Rizzo still has another 3-4 really good years left in his tank. The guy's in tremendous shape, a hard worker. He's a great leader. He's a good team player. A lot of Yankee fans are saying, why did they bring in Anthony Rizzo? Well, I'll give you reasons why they brought in Anthony Rizzo. One, he's a good team leader. Two, he's a veteran player, and he's won before. And three, the one thing more than ever, left power baseball. That's something that the Yankees needed in a very long time, and now they add it. And then Joey Gallo, listen, they got Joey Gallo on a steal. He might be a career 225 hitter. Who cares? The kid hits for power. In a good year, he's going to hit 40 home runs. He's going to give you 100 and some RBIs. The Yankees are known for power. They're all in on the power and power baseball. That's how they've won all these years. So I don't know why they decided to go after Joey Gallo, but I think it makes a lot of sense. You split up those right-handed bats. Now you put Rizzo in between those right-handed bats and then Joey Gallo right between those right-handed bats. That throws pitchers off, and that has pitchers thinking who they want to throw to. Do they want to throw to Rizzo? Do they want to throw to Gallo? Do they want to throw to Judge or Giancarlo, who hasn't been hitting a lick? Even Gary Sanchez. I mean, that lineup is as powerful as any lineup in baseball now. So I think it made a lot of sense, Speedy.
Yeah, it definitely did it, especially with Gallo, with the value that they got. When I first heard about the Yankees being rumored, I was like, okay, what are they doing? They don't need another one of these heavy strikeout guys. But the Rangers didn't get much from the Yankees. so you might as well take a chance on it. You don't want to have him go to the Red Sox or the Rays or teams that are in your division that are competing with you and could be there long term too. And also with the Yankees analytics department, we've seen them do this with certain hitters that either have one specialty or they didn't peak as hitting right away, and they've gotten a lot better with the Yankees too. And you're right, with the left-handed bats is something that they've been lacking on a consistent basis for sure. They bring in the occasional guy that works for them. We saw with Didi when he was there, Brian McCann when he came over as a catcher, left-handed power. But again, they didn't have it as consistently and as fluently through the lineup. It's only in small stretches. Everything is right-handed power. And when the Yankees have left-handed power in that park, it really shows a lot. And even the other ballparks in the American League East too. There's a lot of ones that really benefit left-handed power.
You look at Rizzo and you look at Gallo. They're two very good team players. I haven't heard anything bad about these guys. Now, Joey Gallo, he's been on and off with the Texas Rangers, but even with that, I've never heard anything bad from that guy. He's a great team player, team leader. He was in a home run derby this year. He didn't look so good in the home run derby. But this guy is one of the best power left-handed hitters in baseball. And to give up only 4 or 5 prospects that are not, I know they were in the Yankees top 30. These guys are never going to play in the major leagues. Maybe one of them, maybe 2. But
you're very lucky. The Rangers can't even develop their own top prospects.
To me, the Yankees got a steal. They really did. So I think it's very interesting. I think it's fun where the Yankees have put themselves in slid. And maybe the Yankees go on this 10, 11, 12-game run where they win 12 games in a row. Their schedule is pretty easy for the next 2 or 3 weeks. They could go on a 10, 11-game run and then take over the wild card spot and thrive over there. And if Kluber comes back and Severino comes back and Cole figures out who he really is, I mean, seriously, this could be a dangerous team. I don't think they're a playoff team this year. I think they're looking towards next year. Rizzo, they're going to re-sign. And they have Joey Gallo for another year. I think they plan to have these 2 guys moving forward. The Yankees wouldn't have traded one top prospect, one decent prospect for Rizzo if they didn't think they were going to keep him. So I think the Yankees are going to keep him, probably sign him 3-4 year deal. Who knows what they're going to do. But they try to trade Luke Voit. And if they couldn't trade him now, they're going to try to move him in the offseason. But Voit is going to be a bench player moving forward. And if Anthony Rizzo stays healthy, he will be playing the majority of the games moving forward.
Yeah, I think Rizzo is going to get probably a 4-year contract later in his career. I don't think the Yankees are going to pay him a lot because they know that the window to pay these young players is now. And Anthony Rizzo, again, going over the Yankees too, I'm sure he's going to be encouraged by that kind of thing too. You're right, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I think right now Oakland's in the second wild card spot. And historically, even though they're not good in the playoffs, they're always a very good second half team. So it's going to take probably a collapse from a team like the Rays or the Red Sox or something like that for that to happen. But I don't see that kind of thing happening either. But again, definitely for next year, especially with the way they are capable of spending in free agency, they should be good.
And then there's the Mets. And I was very intrigued. And in the Yankees, they made other moves, small moves. I think they added a pitcher from the Angels, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and one from the Pirates or something like that.
Yeah, they're small moves, not big moves. Yeah. They were trying to go after Jose Barrios. Barrios went to the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays landed a very good young pitcher. He's still very good. I think he's 28 years old, has tremendous arm, so a right-handed pitcher. And that's something that the Yankees love to go after, right-handed power. So unfortunately, the Yankees couldn't make that move. The Blue Jays did, and they got themselves, and they solidified themselves, so they could be dangerous too moving forward.
They got a nice big 3 at the top of that rotation now. Ryu, Robbie Ray, and now Barrios.
Yes.
Pretty good.
As far as the Mets are concerned, I know you're a Met fan, Speedy, and I was really itching my head why the Mets didn't go after Kris Bryant, and they decided to go after Javier Baez. Now, McNeil is a second baseman. He fits best at second base. Now you're going to decide what you're going to do with McNeil. Are you moving him to third? I don't think he's a better third baseman. I think he's a better second baseman. And you can't put Baez at third base because he's never played that position before. I think it made a lot of sense to go after Kris Bryant. And you probably wouldn't have had to give up a one top prospect for a guy like Kris Bryant, a rental. Both players are rental players, but are the Mets willing? Kris Bryant is not getting a $150 million contract next year. He hasn't had 2 really good seasons. The last time he won an MVP, I think, was 4 years ago. Yeah. He hasn't been the same player ever since. Javier Baez has been one of the best hitters in baseball. So I understand why the Mets did it. I understand he's close with Lindor, and they have a great relationship. Are they going to re-sign Javier Baez? And if they do, are they willing to pay 2 players in your infield $500 million? I don't know if that makes sense. It really doesn't.
See, Baez has been steadily well-rounded and pretty consistent. He's had a down year for average this year, but again, a lot of the league has had a down year for average. But beyond that, he's not a 300 type hitter, but he's a steady 270, 280 hitter most of the time anyway. So I think in terms of a well-rounded value, Baez brings more than Bryant. And you brought up McNeil, which was actually kind of interesting too. I think Bryant is very similar in terms of the positions he can play, in terms of his overall value. Not the same type of hitter, but his overall value as McNeil. We see him have these great streaks, and then sometimes he'll have his bad slumps. And McNeil, when he's been bad, he's been trying to pull the ball too much. He gets those very similar types of slumps. I think they're too similar of players. Plus, McNeil could play corner outfield too, so that means probably Conforto will be gone at the end of the year now that they got Baez, and he'll probably take one of those corner spots, I would imagine. And same thing with J.D. Davis too. They have too many third corner outfield types. I think Baez made a lot more sense being the middle infielder.
Also, there was a couple other moves the Mets made besides Javier Baez. Was there anything else that really stuck out to you at the trade deadline for the New York Mets in the last week and a half?
Well, again, the other pitcher they got back in the deal was Trevor Williams as well, which is a guy that he's pitched well in certain years for the Pirates. He was supposed to be one of their better prospects, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. And then they got him as part of the Baez deal, which, again, they need more pitching depth. The Mets bullpen, I would have wanted them to go after a little more with that. One of the trades that we were talking about the Twins for a while as being big sellers. One of the guys I wanted was not Barrios, actually. It was actually Taylor Rogers. I'm surprised he didn't get traded. Lefty reliever type, because the Mets have had issues with two versatile guys. Lugo and May have both struggled for their standards this year, and that concerned me a little bit. So I think they could have gotten a lot more when it came to pitching depth.
They could still get pitchers as the season progresses when they go through the what do they call that?
Oh, the waiver deadline,
waiver wire, whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah, the waiver deadline.
So I think the Yankees and the Mets will add players when that happens. There'll be a lot of players that will be pretty good players that could be available at the waiver time. So I don't think it's over. I don't think it's done, especially if both teams are fighting. You know the Mets are making the playoffs in that division.
And then the other one that was Rich Hill, who so far has looked good in his first start.
I was surprised that the Mets weren't the team that really stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah,
at the trade deadline.
I would have thought they would have went after more pitching depth than they did. Rich Hill is, again, 41-year-old veteran guy, good lefty depth, and pitched well in his first start. Not going to give you a lot of length anymore because, again, he's 41 years old. But guy could pitch out of the bullpen, guy that could pitch as a starter. Right now he has to pitch as a starter because of all the injuries that the Mets had. And Carrasco came back yesterday too, which was nice. But, again, as a whole, I'm surprised they didn't go after more pitching depth either.
I will say this. We can go through everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks, and we talk about the Dodgers that added Max Scherzer, and then obviously you kind of go back and forth with the Trey Turner move. I think Trey Turner was the guy. He was the lead guy in that trade because Max Scherzer's there for 1 year, and he's going to go to free agency. He's 37 years old. A team's probably going to give him a 3-4 year deal. I don't see the Dodgers doing that after giving Bauer the money that they gave him, and they don't even know if Bauer will be back or he'll be gone. I don't know what is planned for a guy like Trevor Bauer, especially with the allegations that he has on his shoulders moving forward this offseason. I don't know if he'll be back this year, and that's why they decided they had to bring in another pitcher that can help out with Clayton Kershaw, because Kershaw has not stayed healthy for the last 6 years, and he's not the same player he once was. Matt Scherzer, even at 37, he's still an elite pitcher in this league. Right. So he could still pitch at a high level. I don't know if Clayton Kershaw could do that.
Well, Walker Buehler's now the ace, so Kershaw's not going to have to really pitch at that kind of level anymore. So having him as the third
Max Scherzer is the ace.
If you want to say Max Scherzer's the ace, then Buehler's too, and then Kershaw's the number 3 guy. He doesn't even have to pitch to that kind of level anymore. It's just a matter of can he pitch in the playoffs, which we know he has his past woes with. But again, they won a World Series this year. He pitched well in the World Series, so maybe that's a good sign for them. In terms of Bauer, they're going to have to try to get out of that as quick as they can, but it's going to be very, very hard.